Hello to each of you as our middle school math counts contacts and coaches. We're very excited to get this year started with middle school math counts. Some of you have probably already begun practicing. I've heard from several of you. So we wanted to make sure we got this information out to you here in a timely manner. My name is Michael Elder, for any of you who I haven't had the privilege to meet yet. And I get to work with middle school math counts again this year, and so that's very exciting. I personally want to say thank you for putting yourself out there to coach our high-achieving math kids and to push them to be better mathletes, as the Math Counts folks remind us. So without too much further ado, let me jump into our presentation here. All of our information for Math Counts is housed on our website. You'll see some of the information from last year up there. You may also see hopefully you'll get to see this presentation as well as any other information as we get closer and closer to the event itself. Anytime you need other information, please feel free to contact me. You can certainly email or call. We'll be glad to work through any of the questions you have as we work towards Math Counts. One of the first things that you'll want to do is to register yourself and your team at this website. And again, this is at bit.ly.com/MiddleMathCounts. And that is where we will gather your name as the coach, as well as all the other information that we need for enrolling you with the National Math Counts organization. So there's a copy of that over here on this side of our screen over here. And so really what we're looking at is your name, who the coach is. If you have a co-coach, you can certainly fill that in over here. Do know that whoever's name is right here as the teacher coach, that is who the stipend goes to. So if you have two coaches and you want to split the little stipend that we're able to provide each year or this year, please feel free to do that. However, we're just going to be paying that to the one person here. And again, you can work that out with a co-coach if you'd like to. Some of the other information you might feel like is a little redundant, and I apologize for that. However, this information goes to Middle School Math Counts, and that gets you registered with them. So if you can fill in that information, your school address, phone number, principal's name, those kind of things, hopefully that won't take you too long, and we can get right into the meat of what we're doing here with Middle School Math Counts. So let's go ahead into our presentation here. Those of you who have done this before, hopefully this is just a quick review for you, and those of you who are new to Middle School Math Counts, this will be probably the cornerstone or the foundation of what we do in Math Counts. So the event itself is comprised of 4 rounds: the sprint round, the target round, the team round, and the ciphering round. And we'll go through those in a little more detail in the upcoming slides. But as you can see here, though, the breakdown of those rounds in essence is there are some rounds that are individually oriented, mainly the sprint round and the countdown round, and then there are 2 rounds that are more team oriented, and those being the target round and the team round. So you can see the descriptions here, so I won't read all of that to you here, but you do want to make sure that you're preparing kids for each one of these kind of rounds. One of the things, if you're a new coach, you might want to think about is, especially with the team round, and I might have misspoke a second ago, the target round is still individual work, but in the team round, that's where you want your kids to be able to indicate, hey, I've got this, right? I'm the kid who already knows how to do the first 2 questions on here. So they do get to use a calculator in that round. It is only 10 problems, but they only have 20 minutes. So they're working very quickly, and you want kids to be able to say, all right, I can do numbers 1 and 4, and which ones know the rest of them, and how sure are they of their answers. And then maybe there's some questions they want to work collaboratively on. So one of the things we notice that good teams do is that they really know who's strong in which strands, and they're able to jump right into those kind of questions. So that's one of the things that as a coach you can practice is, how do I know who's really good at which part of the round? So another thing as a coach, and also as parents, people want to know is, what does the day look like? So these are certainly estimates. We shoot to start our rounds at 9 o'clock, and that gets us wrapped up by about 1 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little later. The last couple years, I think we've been done actually a little bit earlier than that. Parents like to know when they can come, and parents are certainly welcome all day. However, for most folks, probably the best part of the day is right in here, right? Is that countdown, the ciphering round. So it's generally safest to probably tell parents, come around 11:15, right? Come at about this time. We'll probably be eating lunch, but that way if we're a little bit ahead, you're there on time, and if we're running a little behind, then you can just hang out with us for a little bit. So you may want, if parents are asking, you probably want to tell them, hey, come in around 11:15, 11:30. You should be in pretty good shape to see your kids for the ciphering round. If they want to come and sit the whole day, they're certainly welcome to do that as well. I mentioned on the first slide, one of the first things you need to do down here, make sure you're registered yourself and your team, because if you have not registered yourself as the coach, well, one, we can't turn you in for national math counts, and that's not good. And two, that means we can't pay your stipend. So please make sure you register yourself by September 30th. Some of the other dates you might want to jot down as we work through this are that our school registrations are due by September 30th. I think I just mentioned that, did I not? And that you're going to be working from now through November selecting your team members. We're going to ask this year, if you can, to submit your team members' names to us through this link here, Math Counts Names 1516. If you can drop your kids' names in there, then that'll help us in terms of making programs for the event. If you need an extra week after that, we probably really won't need those names until a little later in November, perhaps even just the very beginning of December. So if you need more time, we'll send reminders before that. You will want to be lining up, and your assistant principals are usually the ones to help you with this. You're going to want to line up a bus as early as you can to come to our event, the local event, that is, which is being held on February 2nd over at Clyde Irwin. So you'll want to make sure that you can get a bus driver, and the earlier you schedule those things, typically the better. You want to make sure that you can be at Clyde Irwin around 8:45 so your kids can have a chance to settle in. We here at the district level, we will work to secure us a bus to go to the regional event. So we'll try to line up a bus. That worked out pretty well last year. We met here at the central office that Saturday morning. The coaches and kids were able to ride down to Cape Fear Community College on the bus and then just ride back to here. So parents could either drop their kids off here or whatever works best for you. I do believe Dixon, we picked you guys up down at Dixon Middle because we'd be driving by there anyway. So there are the dates after that for kids who advance, get to move on in March, and then in May to the state and national competitions as well. Oops, let me jump out of this one. So it's a good idea, like for any of us, we know our calendars will fill up quickly, so to go ahead and get those things on your calendar and let your kids and your parents know as you're selecting your team. One of the things I probably failed to mention is it's perfectly fine to have a Math Counts team that is maybe 20 kids, or maybe you have 4 8th graders who are your primary kids, but maybe you're doing this as a club, and so Math Counts has a lot of good questions and problems for all kids, so you certainly can have a larger team for your Math Counts. And you may also want to have some 7th graders or 6th graders that understand they're not going to the competition, but you can be grooming them for upcoming years. So that certainly is a possibility. We've already mentioned that you're going to fill out this form at Middle Math Counts for us, and by September 30th. I think that's also right down here. Well, there we go. And many of you have probably already filled that out as I'm talking, and that would be great too. Onslow County Schools will then make one check out for that Math Counts registration, so you don't have to worry about paying the Math Counts piece. We take care of that. We will also take care of your substitute for the day when we're here at Clyde Irwin Elementary for our local competition. And again, there's the reminder about the online registration. So you will see a form that looks like this from Math Counts online. You don't need to fill that form out. We fill all that out based on the information you give us through the Bitly Google form there. So you don't need to worry about that, but it's always good to know that it's out there. So that's where your information then goes. As we've got all that stuff taken care of, For the coach stipend, it's $200 this year for the main coach. I think last year was $300. As is the case in a lot of places, the budgets have been cut back a little bit, and we try to make this as large a stipend as we can. We know that certainly does not equal the amount of time you spend with your kids. It doesn't equate to that at all. However, at least hopefully it's something a little extra that gives you a chance to maybe go out to dinner or something for the fact that you have worked with these kids. So we hope it's a small token. We certainly understand it's not equal to the number of hours that you spend with your kids. The only way we can pay that, however, is if you have entered your information by that September 30th, and then we ask you to drop your kids' names in there in November so that we can get all that squared away. So a couple of you have asked in the past about preparing for math counts. You do want to make sure of a couple things, and there's probably 30 other steps that you do that aren't on this slide. So if you're new to this process, you might want to contact some of our past coaches, the folks who have done this for years. They would certainly be willing to guide you through the steps that you do as a coach. So a couple of things here on this slide. You do want to make sure you're going to need permission slips for your kids to go to the local competition, probably as well for the regional competition, even though that's on a Saturday. You may want to let parents know early that when that local competition is and when the regional competition is. Do know that at the regional competition, the only kids who participate in that countdown or that ciphering round, the only kids who participate in that are the top scorers. So we may have 10 kids in that, or we may have no kids in that. It just depends on how well they do on the earlier parts of the day. I mentioned earlier that especially for the team round, you want kids to have signals for, hey, I got this, I know this. You also want kids to be able to say, I'm really not sure, so trust somebody else's answer. Really strong teams that I noticed in the past, and you've probably seen this as well, they typically have a leader on the team, and that person is the one, they're going to be the captain. Every team has to have a captain because some of the rounds you're just entering one answer. So you do want to make sure that there's leadership on your team, that somebody's there to pick up the kids if they start to struggle, and there's also somebody who's going to push them if they start to slack off a little bit. Your kids are going to want to know the format of the event. They're going to want to know how to practice. For warm-ups, there are lots of resources. We're going to look at a couple here in just a second. But make it fun. Build in incentives, and I left this open-ended, and whatever makes it fun for your kids, right? Like, it's okay to do math outside. It's okay to have some of these, maybe you videotape kids solving problems, or maybe you give them a problem and have them videotape their solution, or give them challenging questions and then feature those kind of things in some way that is relevant and interesting for your kids. So I think our best bet with kids in this is to make sure it's interesting to them, and to give them a chance to practice. So if the kids, the first time they really experience this is the week before the competition, that's probably not setting them up for the best result that they can do. So let them be a little bit of math geeky and enjoy the process, right? We see that every year at the event itself, that the kids really do like this in ways that we may not even expect sometimes. So if you're looking for a couple resources, the MiddleMathCounts website has several of those, including some flip strategies, some lessons. So on their library, they've got some things. The problem of the week and the archive is there. I've seen several teachers using these with their home rooms as well. So you may want to grab those resources and use them. So you'll see, I'll just pull it up quickly here, the current one, which happens to be on football, and which are ways to calculate different passer ratings and things like that. So there are lots of older ones, older questions, as well as these new ones too. So use those resources that they provide for us, and make sure that your kids have access to these too. These could be some things where they guide themselves. If you're looking to take it up a notch, if you're looking to take it to the next level, Math Counts offers several different things, including their National Video Challenge. National Math Club is out there too, as well as the Solve-a-thon. So the way the Solve-a-thon is meant to work is, I believe kids get adults or other folks to sponsor them, and they would answer questions. You could do this as part of a practice or as part of your as part of your practices. And then those funds could then be used to help support your team. Maybe they help buy snacks for the teams, or you're using that funding to buy more materials to prepare. So please do remember that the one thing we do ask of you is to register your team. Again, at the website that we pointed out, or I pointed out several times here, by September 30th. You don't need to put names or anything in that one. That's the second part where you're going to put in names. We'll post this presentation both on our website as well as sending it out to you, at least the PowerPoint version of this. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me anytime. My contact information is here on the screen. Michelle Chadwick can certainly help you as well. Pam Brewer is our administrative assistant, and she does amazing jobs with making sure your paperwork gets in and keeping me organized as well as everyone else. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And again, sincerely, a thank you for making Math Counts a possibility for our middle school kids, especially those kids who are just really high achieving and really motivated to do good work out there.